So, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon to our global Nimble community. I really love these webinars where we can inspire and educate in and around the promise of our product and services, social sales and marketing. And in this particular instance, I'm super excited about Louise, somebody that I met while curating content over social to identify people that inspired and educated me, that resonated with me, and really stood out from the crowd. And that's why I invited Louise. And Louise, let's learn a little bit more about you, and please say hello.
Hello, thank you so much, John. Thank you so much for inviting me to be here this evening. And I just want to say, when I met you, I just came away, I was totally blown away. What an inspirational leader you are to your community as well. And thank you so much for inviting me here this evening.
You bet. Let's go to your bio slide. And well, the first thing I think you might notice about Louise is that she doesn't sound like she comes from America, and that's because she's from Ireland. And that's where my ancestors, at least half of them, are from. I'm Irish and Sicilian, and I've spent time in Ireland. And if you haven't been to Ireland, you have to go to Ireland, because not only is the land beautiful and green, the people are wonderful, but the food is amazing. They have farm to table everywhere, and they cook it with modern cooking techniques that are just spectacular. And with that, I think what Louise really stands out is her ability to translate complex ideas like advertising and social to small businesses in a way that's digestible and applicable. And that's really why I invited her here, because she's been doing it for tens of thousands of students online, and really is one of the leading educators about social sales and marketing. And for those that don't know anything about me, let's go to my slide for a sec. I've been in relationship management, I think, all my life. I learned it from my father, who was a car dealer, Lincoln Mercury and Subaru. And I never wanted to be in sales, so I studied technology. And look, I'm back in sales, selling technology. And I do this because I really believe that relationships are critical to your life success, and that your network and your brand are your net worth, and that you should have a personal CRM, and your company should have a team relationship platform, not just a sales CRM. And with that, why don't you take us away, Louise?
Well, thank you so much, John. I'm so excited to be here, and thank you so much again. So I would love to connect with you on social media, obviously. So this is where you will find me. So you'll find me on Facebook, on Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn. You'll find me everywhere, and generally under the tag name or username Sell on Social M. So if you're sharing any images or feedback or anything from this evening, I would just love if you would tag me in it. I'd love to start having conversations with you online. So what are we going to cover here this evening? So first of all, I wanted to really talk to you about the potential of social media as a marketing tool, because sometimes I think, well, John is right, I've been training businesses since 2009, and sometimes I think that really businesses don't actually see the merit in using social media as a marketing and sales tool, and they don't fully understand the potential. So I want to shine some light on that here for you this evening. And the second thing I want to do is to debunk 4 beliefs that may be hindering your progress. Again, I am basing this on years and years of training thousands and thousands of businesses. And then I'm going to share with you 6 steps to follow, which will help you grow your sales and leads. And these are the 6 steps that you will see in all my trainings. They're also the 6 steps which we follow in our agency, which gets results really quickly for our clients. And so if you hang on, you're going to really learn all about these steps this evening. So before I get going, I'm going to ask you to use, is it the Q&A or the chat? I'm not too sure. Julie, you might direct me here. I want to find out from you, what are your greatest challenges when it comes to using social media marketing? So again, this will help me present here this evening, just to make sure that I'm giving you the information that's going to be exactly the information you really need to hear right now. So Julie, yep.
It's the question box.
It's the question box. Hang on till I just tick it. So
So you could know what I'm saying is that that's where they put the statements, what is challenging them. They type it in the question box.
Great, thanks you. I see it here now. So Jean-Pierre is saying to drive a stronger link between content and sales. That is so good. Yeah, content creation. Yeah, I'm putting myself on video. Yeah, challenge, how to validate my platform. Which platform works best for my business? The required frequency of yeah, that's such a common question as well, George. Yeah, thanks, Joelle, Paul, and George for giving me that feedback. So, and here, oh, lots of feedback coming in now. Getting no Facebook love and putting in good content. They don't like links. That's so true. And how to qualify leads, Rodney, and finding out the platform for my ICA. Very good. Okay, thanks, Barry, as well. Okay, so I ask this question all the time of people, and here are some of the answers that I hear quite frequently. So lots of times people tell me that when they come to using social media that they can feel just a bit overwhelmed, and sometimes they feel so overwhelmed with social media that they actually don't know where to start. Other people, again, these are words that I'm using back that I hear all the time, feel like they're shooting in the dark, or that sometimes that they're going around in circles. Lots of people will also tell me that they have a stop-start approach. So they get all motivated, they go for it, and then they get a bit demotivated, they get disappointed in the results, and so they stop, and then they go through that whole kind of circuit again of stop starting, and they end up having a scattergun approach. So again, I'm going to go to the questions and say, does any of that resonate with you? If any of that resonates with you, just simply give me a Y or a yes. And again, I just wanted to point this out because sometimes when I say to people, yeah, lots of yeses coming in here, it's okay. Yeah, it's okay. A few of these, absolutely. You'll have more than one. Very relevant. Yeah. Thanks, Jose. Thanks, Drew and Paul and Tom and David and Joelle. So yeah, so it's totally okay to feel like this. And so if you feel like this, you are not alone, because this is actually so common when it comes to when I come to dealing with business and helping them use social media as a marketing tool. And so again, and one last question, if you were to rate your use of social media out of 10, again, I'm going to have a look at pull out the question here so I can see the results. How would you rate your use out of 1, with 1 being quite poor and 10 being like absolutely fantastic? So Jean-Pierre, you're 8. Well done for you. Lots of 2 8s, some 2s, 7s, learning now, 5s, 3s, 6s. So 1 on Instagram, 7 on LinkedIn, 7, 3, 2, 6. So very mixed. So Mary Bix, that's okay. It's good to know. Good to know who's in the room. Good to know. Good to know. Absolutely. One last question for you. Tell me, what is your business? Can you just type into them so I can see who's here, what type of businesses? Are you selling products or services? Branding, okay, very good, Jean-Pierre. Commercial, okay. Yeah, janitor, marketing agency, insurance broker, commercial real estate. Okay, oh my God, these are going so fast now. Hang on a second, I can't read this fast. Insurance broker, okay, commercial real estate, marketing agency, David, very good. Management consulting, voiceover, services consulting. So lots of services here. Okay, lots of services, digital magazine, sales, managing print. Okay, good to know who's here. Excellent, good to know who is here. So lots of services. So we've already run the poll, so I'm going to skip this. So the first thing I want to cover this evening is the potential of social media as a marketing tool. So let's go straight to that. So the global trends, and I'm just going to go through very few, just some short trends. There's actually 7.85 billion of us on the planet, believe it or not, as in from last year. And out of those 7.85 billion, 5.27 billion are unique mobile phone users. And that's actually 2/3 of the population, which I actually think is phenomenal. And then the third point is that 4.33 of the mobile phone users are also social media users. And so more than 500 million new users joined social media platforms in the last 12 months. So what we found was that when people were locked down, when people were restricted in their movements, that actually they actually joined social media as a way of connecting with their friends and loved ones. And so when we think of mobile phone devices, or smartphones, as we call them here in Ireland, people carry these around on their person. So they're in their hands, they're in their handbags, they're in their pockets, they're beside their beds in the morning time, they use them as alarm clocks, they have them in their hands when they're watching TV in the evening time. When they're waiting to collect children, from different events, they're checking their phones. When they're in waiting rooms, when they're commuting, obviously if they're not driving, they are on their phones. And so in terms of us as being business people, here we have an opportunity to reach people all the time through social media. So what we need to do is to figure out a way how we can do it as efficiently as possible, so we spend as little time as possible getting the best results. So that's what I'm all about. I love social media, but I don't want to be on it all the time. I just want to use in social media in the minimum amount of time to get the best results. But it is a wonderful opportunity for us. Okay, so online shopping trends. Here's a few shopping trends. The global e-commerce market is expected to be $5.9 trillion by the end of this year, which is absolutely phenomenal. And Shopify reported that the pandemic has accelerated the shift towards online shopping by as much as 5 years. 75% of consumers say they buy using smartphones because it saves time, and 54% of social media users research products using social media. So we know they do that. And 71% of people are likely to purchase products based on referrals from social media. And here's an interesting one. 29% of people are more likely to purchase a product on the same day of having seen it on social media. So that's how powerful social media is. So now we've talked about, just in a few screens, the potential of social media as a marketing and sales tool. I want to tell you just a little bit about myself before I move on in the presentation. So I started working in the digital space in the early 1990s. Now, I would love to tell you all that it was a strategic move, but I can tell you it was something that I fell into, and I was just extremely fortunate. I applied for a job in a company called EDI Factory, and I thought it was a factory, that it was a marketing job. I just wanted to work in marketing, and I thought EDI Factory was going to be a factory where they were producing a product called EDI that they would then ship out the door, and I would help them market it. So I was quite surprised when I started working in the company to find that EDI stands for Electronic Data Interchange, and it's one of the earliest forms of e-commerce. And to give you an idea, in the early 90s, like all of my friends would kind of say, my God, what even are you doing? What does that company do? Because nobody was working in the e-commerce, e-business space at that time. And in fact, you know, we worked in the center of Dublin in an office, and we accessed the internet through dial-up in this like digital company, which was amazing. But anyhow, what I found about that company was I was the only female in the company, and I was the only non-techie in that company. And all of the rest of the people that worked there were all techies. They all spoke in X's and O's. And what I found was that I was able to bridge the gap between the techies and the customers, because the techies couldn't sell their products because they couldn't speak in plain English, and the customers didn't understand what the techies were saying. But I was able to understand what the techies were talking about through asking lots of questions, and then I was able to present it to clients in a way that they could understand it. And when you think about it, that's what I do today. I love technology. I love social media. I love the internet. I love figuring things out, and I love explaining it in a way that it makes sense to people who don't necessarily love technology, but who need to know how to use it. So I founded my business in 2009. I was actually made redundant on my birthday at the height of the one of the biggest recessions that Ireland has ever seen. So I was actually invited into the office on the morning of my birthday, thinking that maybe I was getting cake, and in fact I got the message that I was made redundant. And I remember walking out the door from that office that day. I had 4 flights of stairs to walk down, and my heart was sinking with every step that I walked. But when I got to the bottom of the stairs and I walked out and the sun was shining, and I said, you know what, Louise, you've got skills that are in demand. You've got a fire in your belly. You've got, you know, you genuinely want to help people, and that's always going to stand to you. And so I started my own business, and I have not looked back since. So today I have trained over 20,000 online students on how to use social media as a marketing tool, and I'm also founder of Sell on Social Media Academy and Agency. So here's my agency. So we have a remote workforce, and for people who cannot yet afford to outsource, lots of businesses would outsource their social media management to us, and we do that on a team basis. But my academy is for businesses who can't yet afford to outsource their social media, but still want to learn what the experts do to get results quickly. So in 2017, I published my first book, Facebook Marketing, the Essential Guide. And last year I published the 2021 Social Media Planner and Guide, which was a bestseller on Amazon. And this year I've obviously followed on with the 2022 Social Media Planner and Guide. And I've also just recently launched a social media content kit, which is made up of over 250 customizable Canva templates, step-by-step tutorials on how to use them, a content Bible with 152 ideas for social media content, so you never stuck again, and obviously lots more bonuses as well. So what else are we going to cover today? So we've talked about this potential of social media as a marketing tool. So next, what I want to talk to you about is to debunk 4 beliefs which may be hindering your progress. So, and the 4 beliefs that may be hindering your progress are as follows. First of all, people think social media is easy. Well, we're going to show you here this evening that it's not. The second belief that I think really hinders progress is that social media is free. So this kind of goes back to the poll that we ran at the very beginning of this training, that 75% of people here are not using paid advertising. But what I want to show you here this evening, that social media is no longer free, and that another belief is that paid advertising doesn't work. And hopefully I can shed some light on that for you here this evening. And the fourth belief is that you don't need to make a plan, because lots of businesses, most businesses that I encounter, don't have a plan, and that's why one of the reasons why they don't succeed. So social media is easy. So first of all, I think what happens is that people come to social media with unrealistic expectations. They read articles in the newspaper about some whiz kid that has set up a TikTok account and has gone viral and has 6 million followers, okay? And so then they take to social media and they are so motivated and all happy, and this is just going to be the thing that changes their business, and they try a few things and all of a sudden it turns into this. And this is so commonplace that people get all motivated, but then they just don't get the results that they think that they should. And so the first point I want to make to you this evening is this. On the left, okay, you can see a post which was published which reached just over 1,000 people. And on the right is a post where in an ideal world, all going well, things go viral, you get 100,000 people. And the thing I want to say to you is that getting posts every now and then, a post that goes viral, that gets in front of millions of people or hundreds of thousands of people, is really nice. But actually, what works more effectively is reaching 1,000 of the same people regularly with core messages, rather than trying to have this viral content. And so why viral content is less important than showing up consistently is because people rarely take an action having seen one post. People need to hear from us multiple times before they will do business with us. And people do business with the people that they know, like, and trust. And so the more that people see you, the more they hear you, the more that you can communicate your core messages and repeat your core messages and get those core messages in front of them, the more likely they are to know, like, and trust you, and the more likely they are to do business with you. And so if you create a post that reaches 1,000 people, you say, okay, job done. Now what's the next post that I'm going to publish that is also going to communicate my core messages? And so sometimes I think people give up because their expectations were unrealistic from the get-go. So what's really important when it comes to social media is to keep turning up. Okay, to keep turning up week in, week out, and not just to show up when you have something to sell. Because the work that you do now, and this just isn't for social media, this is for everything. The work that you do now pays dividends in the future. So the leads that are coming through to your door, to your email inbox right now, are from work that you have done in the past. And the work that you do today, that you've done today, it will pay dividends in the future. And so again, once you have set your expectations and you say, okay, I'm going to start working on my social media, I'm going to give it the time and effort and the budget that it requires, but I know that I'm not going to get the leads back tomorrow, but they will come back they will come in the future. And so this reminds me of the rule of 7. So in Hollywood in the 1930s, what the movie producers realized is that they needed to tell people about the newest movie at least 7 times before they would get them into movie theaters. And so that was in the 1940s, okay? When I was in college, which was in the 1990s, they told us that you had to tell people between 9 and 17 times before they really truly understood about how different your products and services were. And I can imagine that in 2022, we are bombarded, we are on speed with content coming at us left, right, and center. I can imagine it's actually quite a lot more than that. So again, this is having our expectations aligned so that we do not give up when we don't get this whole viral approach. So that's the first belief that I wanted to talk to you about this evening. The second belief that I wanted to maybe holding you back is that you think that social media is free. Now, don't freak out, because I'm going to show you a formula here, and I don't want you to run away, because I'm going to explain what this means. I am really obsessed with the organic reach of posts. So what's the organic reach of a post? So it's the total reach of a post divided by the number of followers that you have on that account, multiplied by 100/1. So let's just look at a few examples. So here we have a post that I published of my beautiful daughter. She's an Irish dancer, and she was just doing a jump for me on the beach where I live, and I got a nice photograph of her, and I shared it along with some kind of I don't know what the message was, but anyhow, again, this post reached 1,000 people. So if you go to my formula, I take the reach of the post, which was 1,102, divided by the number of followers on my account, which is 5,170, multiply that by 100/1. And so we can see that the organic reach of a post like this is about 21%. Okay, and so this was a nice kind of awareness content. So awareness content always performs a lot better. 21% is quite good in terms of organic reach. So now we look at another post here. So this is a post where I have a girl who was joining my team, and I was just giving a little bit of information about her background. Now look at the reach of this post, 5,379 divided by the number of followers on my account at that time, just over 5,000, and the reach of this was 106%. Okay, so again, this was a nice awareness post, and wow, we were so happy with its performance. Okay, now here comes the next post. Here's a post where we're selling something. So we're saying, are you struggling to reach your monthly sales targets? We have training coming up. I don't know what the training was about. Anyhow, that's the post. Look at the reach on that post, 362. So when you go to sell something, you will always find that the reach on those posts are always less. And in fact, if you read the statistics around the world, they tell us that organic reach is in and around 5%. And as you can see, for a post like this, where we're trying to sell something, 362 divided by the number of followers, and again, this was a reach of 7%. And so what we can tell about this is that we cannot control organic reach. We can do our best to present our content in the best way that we can, at the best time, at the best image, the best description, all of that. But ultimately, the algorithms control what content is seen and what content is not seen. And I can tell you here and now, it's from years and years of using social media and teaching people how to use social media, that the awareness type content like this always performs well, and the sales content always performs less well. Okay, and that's because people just don't go to social media to be sold to. So what we know is that organic reach, I don't know if any of you have ever been to Ireland, but it's always raining here. That's why we have lovely green fields, because there's lots of rain. But organic reach is about as dependable as the Irish weather. When you're running a business, you cannot depend on organic reach. You cannot hope that people see the post where you're trying to sell something. You've got to guarantee that that content is seen by the people who are most likely to sign up and buy whatever product or service that you're selling at that time. So social media is no longer free because we cannot depend on organic reach. The third belief that I want to debunk is that paid advertising doesn't work. Because it does. Paid ads will not work if, and here's a few common things people get wrong, if you're not clear on your message. Here's the thing, if there's any room for confusion, people go away. If you could take nothing out else from this evening's presentation but that point, if there's any room for confusion, people go away. If you're not clear on your message, you won't be able to communicate it clearly, and you will not be successful in your ads. If you have the best ad in the world, which is really clear, but you send people to a website or a landing page which is poor or which is not converting, then your ad will not work. If your social media is quite generic, and so think of it in this context, if your competitor can take any of the posts that you've published and just take the same image, the same description, and publish them, well, then your social media presence is too generic and you're not going to stand out, and your paid advertising won't work. Sometimes you may not be running the right ads. I had a potential client who came to me yesterday and said, why are my ads not working? But they were using brand awareness ads when they wanted to generate sales. And so they were just running the wrong types of ads. Sometimes you can be running the right ads, but you can be targeting the wrong audiences. And so you need to target the most appropriate audience depending on where they are in the customer journey. And paid ads, will not work if you're not tuning into the results. So if you're running an ad and it's performing really well increase the budget. If it's not, you got to switch it up, and you've got to understand, what is wrong with the ad? Is it the targeting? Is it the type of ad? Is it the timing? Is it the image? Is it the ad description? Is it the landing page? So not interpreting and not tuning in to all those different elements will also have an impact on whether your ads work or not. So here's a few examples of clients of mine who have used the 6 steps that I'm about to share with you in the next few minutes, who have literally gone from not getting any results to being completely delighted with their results. So this is Lindsay. She's a romance author, and these are her words. She felt Facebook advertising was a minefield that only a few could negotiate. And she said, as a platform, she found it really frustrating, and she found that her page was getting lost amongst all the others. And she said she had no idea where to start. And she was spending money on the wrong type of ads. So she was like wasting money just boosting random posts because Facebook had suggested it to her, but she wasn't getting any results. And she spent a lot of money, which was not getting her any results, and she had no idea how to track her conversions. So Lindsay joined my academy. I trained her in the 6 steps of what she should do. And so she said, learning the 6-step system, I have learned how to effectively create the right adverts, tailor my message, and target specific audiences. And the difference in her sales has been phenomenal. And she has since had 2 separate Kindle bestsellers. So she is one happy lady. And now she can do it for herself. Neve is a founder of Hollis Skincare, and she was hilarious when I met her. Like, she was like, I hate Facebook, I don't want to do it, I want you to do it for me, Louise, I just don't ever want to be on it again. And literally when she said she'd fallen out of love with Facebook, I can guarantee she had. So she had no plan, and she said she was just posting for the sake of it with no clear objective. And so I sat down with Neve and I said, Neve, you have so much potential, because what Neve was doing well is that she was turning up consistently on social media, but she just was running the wrong types of ads and she wasn't tracking her performance. So now she says her social media is unrecognizable, planned, measured, and growing by the day. If she compares the 6 months that she'd been working with me with the 6 months previous, sales increased by 56%, which is absolutely phenomenal. And I knew they would. It was like a light switch with her. Once we got her all set up and everything working, the sales just absolutely flew in. And she says, it means I can sleep at night, and it means that we are actually making sales while I sleep at night. Rita Oates as well, she's an artist, and like that was aware that Facebook advertising and the importance of it, but she just didn't know how to make it work for her business. Again, she was another lady who was wasting money boosting posts here and there and not getting any results. And so since working with my 6-step system, she's had a return on ad spend of 394%. And she spends less time getting quantifiable results. And that's, my dear people, is what it's all about, spending less time getting better results. So that's the third myth that I wanted to debunk, that paid advertising doesn't work, because it does work if you know how to do it, okay? And so the fourth one is you don't need a plan. So this is my second poll. So can we launch the second poll that we had talked about today? So I just want to, and here, so this is what the poll is. Are you number 1? Are you number 2, or are you number 3? So I come across 3 types of people when it comes to social media. So some people ignore social media and know they should be using it, but they just put their head in the sand and they don't. The second is that people that are busy on social media, they're there week in, week out, and although they're very busy, they're not getting sales, okay? And then the third one is that they are using Facebook ads, but they're not getting results. So I can see, 25% of people, are ignoring, and 68% are busy but not getting sales. This is, and actually, no matter where I am in the world, no matter where I run this poll, I get similar results. So about a third of the people are ignoring it, 65% busy but not getting sales. So I'm going to share with you my 6-step system, and I'm going to point out whether you're at 1, 2, or 3, where you may be falling down. Okay, so hopefully you'll get lots more insight even by having identified where you fall. So if you're a 1, if you're a 2, or if you're a 3. This is my 6-step system. So we talk about planning, we talk about optimizing, we talk about content, targeting, advertising, and review. So I'm going to go through all of these in more detail. Step 1 is all about planning. So if you are number one, you're ignoring social media. Even just by starting at step 1, you will find that you're going to get better results. Okay, if you have a plan and you know what you need to do week in, week out, and you know why you're doing it and what you want to achieve, that's going to help you. If you are number 2, so you're busy on social media, but you're not getting sales, chances are, and I don't know, but I'm only guessing, that you skipped step 1 and step 2, and you've just gone to step 3. So if you have said that you're the second avatar here, it means it more than likely means that you skipped step 1, step 2, you're just doing step 3, and you may also be skipping 4, 5, and 6. And so if you do just one of the steps, what you will find is that you won't get the results. Now, we did have 7% who said they were using ads, but they weren't getting the results. If you find that you're the third person, where are we there, using Facebook, not getting results, that's number 3 avatar, it could be that you have skipped step 1, 2, 3, and that you've even got maybe skipped step 4, but you're just doing step 5, and you may not even be doing step 6. So again, you can see that if you want to actually get results, you've got to follow all of the different steps. So let me go through what they are now. Step 1 is all about planning. It's about setting your SMART goals. And what I can say to you guys is that if you don't know why you're using social media, if you're not measuring if you're, what you're trying to achieve, or if you're on track to achieve it, if you haven't set out the goals, well, then you will find that your use of social media will always be limited, or the results that you will get from it will be limited. You will end up meandering along because you won't have any clear direction. So when we set our goals, everything comes from the goals, whether it's our content, whether it's our targeting for our ads, whether it's the type of ads that we run, everything comes from the goals. So if you're not doing step 1, that's the essential place to start. The other thing that I find is that people don't target their ideal customer deep enough. So they haven't gone deep enough. They're only profiling these customers at a very surface level. And if you want to get results from your social media, you need to do a much deeper dive down into profiling your ideal customer, because then that is going to help you with not only with content, it's going to help you with copywriting, it's going to help you with image creation, video creation. Pardon me. And the third step in step 1 is that you need to allocate an appropriate budget. If you have identified a goal where you want to generate $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 worth of sales, well, then you say, well, how much budget can I allocate to that to help me achieve that goal? Step 2 then is all about optimizing. So before you produce any content, you've got to get clear, or ads, you've got to get clear on your message. So step 2 is about getting clear on your message, getting clear on your core messages, then optimizing your websites, your landing pages, and your social media channels. And the analogy I like to use here is like a supermarket. So imagine that you own a supermarket and you are standing at the door of that supermarket and you're shouting out to people, telling them, you spot your ideal customer, and you're shouting out to them and you're telling them all about what, about what's going on and what you're doing today. That's the same as you producing content, right? But not having optimized your website or your social media channels. And so if you get people's attention through your content, and then they go to check you out, so they come in and they walk around your store, but the shelves are empty. So they don't know what you're selling. They don't know why they should choose you. Then that means you can be really busy on social media getting people's attention, but you never turn the lookers into bookers. And so step 2, social media optimization, is actually critical. So we will never do an ad, we will never do a promotion with the client until we have interrogated step 2, social media optimization, completely. Because otherwise you can spend a lot of time and effort driving people to websites and landing pages that do not convert. And the first thing somebody will do if you get their attention on social media is they will check out your social media channels. If you have not optimized them, then you are wasting an opportunity. Step 3 then is producing social media content. Why do we plan in advance? Because it saves time. And I keep telling everyone, I'm all about spending the least amount of time getting the best results. When you plan in advance, you're likely to produce a better quality, more strategic content, so it's more efficient, and it also means that you're more likely to show up consistently. reminding us again that people rarely take action having seen one post, so we need to get the content in front of them multiple times before they get to know, like, and trust us. And lots of you here are selling services. It's even more important in the service industry. So sometimes we're connecting. So we talk about our content pillars. So one of the content pillars is awareness content. So sometimes we're connecting. This is an example of awareness content. Sometimes we're building authority, extremely important if we're selling services, which a lot of us here are this evening. So sometimes we're building authority. Here I am interviewing a lady and she's giving amazing advice. And look at the reach on that post, 7,000 people who are all now more likely to buy from me and also from Deirdre. So sometimes we're building authority. Sometimes we are selling. So sometimes we do need to sell. We never depend on organic reach for posts where we are selling, because we need to get them in front of people who are likely to take the action we want them to take. And sometimes we are impressing with our advocate content and also through sharing posts with social proof. And again, I have a formula for our advocate content, and it means that you highlight the biggest benefit to the client, which is going to impress others. So sometimes we are impressing. That is step 3 of my 6-step system. Step 4 is all about targeting. It's about using demographic targeting. So on Facebook and Instagram, we can target people based on where they live, where their location is, whether they're living there or recently visiting that location, age, gender, and interests. But we also can target people based on their retargeting, so based on actions they have taken. So if somebody has visited your website, you can retarget them with a different message. If somebody has spent time watching your videos on Facebook and Instagram, you can retarget them with different messages. If somebody has interacted with any post or paid ad that you have run, you can retarget them with different messages. And then people on your mailing list, you can not only email them, but you can follow them around social media. So if you've ever visited a website and looked at a product and then that product has followed you around on social media, that is what I am talking here today with the retargeting audiences. And so step 5 then is about running ads. Now here is the thing about unrealistic expectations. I had a guy from my academy contact me one day and he said, Louise, I did everything you told me, I ran an ad, but I'm really disappointed with the results. And so I said, oh goodness, let me hop on and have a look to see what you did. So I'd be really curious to see actually what he did and what he did wrong. And in fact, he had done everything right, but the problem was he hadn't spent enough budget. So he hadn't reached enough people. And so this is what I explained to him afterwards. I said, so the average click-through rate from an ad or a post on social media is 2%. So if you run an ad on social media, you should be checking your click-through rates. If it's less than 2%, change up the ad. If it's more than 2%, you're doing well. The average conversion rate on a website is 2%. You should be trying to get it 3 or 4%, but 2% is average. So in order to get 10 sales on your website, you have to get 500 people there. So if you want to get 500 clicks from social media back to your website with a 2% conversion rate on your ad and a 2% conversion rate on your website, you need to reach 25,000 people. And that astounds people, okay? Now, reality is, if you try and get a higher click-through rate on your ad and a higher conversion rate on your website, you won't have to reach as many people. But if you're reaching 6,000 and 7,000 people or a few hundred people, you're not going to generate sales because you're just not reaching enough people. And that's where paid advertising comes in. It allows you to take the messages which you'll have crafted very cleverly in line with your business goals, in line with your core messages, and it allows you to get those messages in front of more people who are likely to want to buy them. So step 5 in my 6-step system, step 5 is all about running the right ads to the right people at the right time. And again, here's you just can't depend on organic reach. You can't run a business on hope. You can't cross your fingers and hope that people see your content. You've got to pay to make sure that they do it. And this is where ads come in, because when you run an ad, you get not only the benefit from the sales and leads that are generated immediately, but you also get the indirect sales and leads as well. So say, for example, I'm running an ad for my agency. I'll generally always pick up clients from my academy. So when people see you and they see what you do, they may not want to buy exactly what you're selling, but they may come back to you and buy something else. So you get direct sales and leads, you get indirect sales and leads. And then you've got the people who have noticed what you're doing, just not ready to buy yet, but they'll buy at some stage in the future. So 3 benefits from running ads. Step 6 then is all about, so let's think you can't depend on organic reach, you've got to use paid reach. Step 6 is about tuning into what you're doing and making sure that if you are spending money, that you're spending it in the best possible way and that you're getting a good return on your investment. So step 6 is all about reviewing and informing yourself. Here's an example I just want to run through really quickly. This is an example again from my academy. A life coach was running an ad for a lead form ad, and they got 20 lead form completions, and the ad cost $200. And so she said to me, Louise, I ran the ad, it cost me $200, and I got 20 leads, so each lead cost me $10. What do you think? Is that really good? And I said to her, Aileen was her name, I said, Aileen, get on the phone, get following up with those leads really quickly before they go cold, because you're only going to know if this is a good return on your investment if you follow up. And so again, from the 20 leads, she got 5 signups. And so she spent €200. And by the time she got all the signups through the door, she made $2,500. So you can see there, you have to actually follow through and tot up and not just look at the value of the return, the immediate return on investment. You've also got to think of the lifetime value of that customer as well. And so again, here's another example from an e-commerce store. They ran an ad, cost $140, and they've got 70 conversions. Is it a good result? Well, you got to look at the rest. What's the value? So the value of those 70 conversions was $5,400. So they spent $140, they made $5,400. Is that a good spend on a return on investment? That client was very happy. So the key takeaways from today is that social media is a powerful tool which businesses can use to harness business growth. But in order to get results, you have to plan, you have to optimize, you've got to turn up week in, week out and publish content. You've got to amplify your organic reach with paid advertising. You've got to review your performance, and you've got to inform future campaigns. So I would like to tell you today about my academy. So my social media academy is basically you get access to my 6-step training system along with other live training every month and a live weekly Q&A session. So in my academy, you will learn how to do step 1, which is your planning of your social media content. There's a self-led training there that you can do. I also deliver this training live every year as well, twice a year. Step 2 then is how you optimize and how you stand out from the crowd. That's all covered in my 6-step system. Step 3, there's a training on your content. There's training on creating content pillars. There's training on populating your social media content calendar. There's training on copywriting. There's training on image and creation and video creation in Canva. Step 4 then is all about learning how to create the different audiences, whether they're the saved demographic audiences or the retargeting audiences. Step 5 then is all about how you use Facebook Ads Manager to create ads which are going to help you get your conversions. And step 6 then is all about learning how to analyze the performance of campaigns. So within my academy, there's actually over $10,000 worth of training. So anyone who joins gets an onboarding, a hello call so that we can show you how to use the academy. You get access to my signature system with the 6-step system, which I've just gone through with you. I do 2 live training sessions every month, which you can tune into and ask me questions and I stay on live till all the questions are finished. There's a weekly Q&A call just to keep you motivated, and you can hop on and say, hey, I've done this, what do you think? Is that the right thing to do? And we answer you for those. There's a free 30-minute consultation after 6 months. There's special discounts on one-to-one coaching, and we offer strong support to our private Facebook group. And there's also a library of 30 on-demand training tutorials covering everything from Facebook to Instagram, Instagram for beginners, Instagram stories and reels, TikTok, LinkedIn, Google Ads. There's a library of infinite level of resources, training which I have all delivered. It's up to date, and you as a member have full access to any of those courses. So my training academy is normally $340 per annum, but I have a special discount here this evening for members of the Nimble community. I'm giving 20% discount, so that is discounted to $272. So not only that, I also, and I know that we have a link here which we can pop in the chat for you, or that is the link there, and that is already got the discounted offer, so you don't even have to worry about putting a coupon code in. The discounted price is already there. It's a special link for this evening, and the first 5 people who sign up for the Academy, I would like to offer you a free 30-minute strategy call with me worth $400. The second 5 signups will get a free 30-minute strategy call with one of my team worth $240. So that is my gift to you this evening. So I just wanted to say, John, I know you wanted to hop in at this stage.
Yes. Well, first off, I just want to say, Louise, it was really easily understandable, your 6-step system to do advertising. And I think advertising really mystifies small businesses. And I'm not just talking about social, I'm talking about any type of advertising, right? And social is sort of the new way. There are a number of questions. And before we get to those, there's a CTA from Nimble. If you're not using Nimble yet and want to go try it, go to nimble.com. And if you like what you see, use the code John40. You'll get 40% off your first 3 months. So let's go to the next slide, which is talking about the questions. And let's just get through these as quick as we can. Question from Rodney: are social media tags effective for lead generation?
Are social media?
Yeah, should you use social media tags in your posts?
Oh, like hashtags?
Yep.
Yeah, you can. Like, they'd be more effective on Instagram and Twitter, than they are. Like, they're there on Facebook, but I would never depend on them to get reach on Facebook, to be honest.
Yeah.
So hashtags, like, you can be really lucky and have your hashtag picked up and get great reach from it. But again, I wouldn't run a business on it. I wouldn't be crossing my fingers and hoping to be picked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, the hashtags are effective, absolutely effective. Absolutely, do your research for your hashtags on Instagram. Use you can use up to 30 hashtags at a time. Use your hashtags in your on LinkedIn, on Twitter, on TikTok. They're functional on Facebook, but I have never found that I've gotten any huge benefit from using them.
I think on Twitter they help you to separate communities like pound sales, pound social, pound marketing. People hang out around hashtags. And there's hashtags you can create for yourself if you want, and they may or may not necessarily get a lot of trend, but you can use a hashtag if you have like a chat room or something. But definitely use hashtags if you're going to be posting curated content in order to have communities find you. Are these concepts the same that you're sharing for LinkedIn or other B2B platforms? And along those lines, it seems the people said that the examples are mainly B2C. Does this work for B2B? So those
Absolutely. Yeah, they're great questions. And in fact, my 6-step system is you can use it on any social media platform. If you think about it, you set your goals, you identify your core messages, you set out your budget. Step 2, you optimize your website, your social media channels. Doesn't matter what social media channel you're on. Step 3, content. It doesn't, like if Facebook disappeared and Instagram disappeared in the morning, we would just be applying. You can absolutely apply this to LinkedIn, to TikTok, to Pinterest. You produce the content you need to produce to get in front and to build and grow your warm audiences. Step 4 is targeting. So again, you can do paid advertising. We do it all the time for clients on LinkedIn. That's step 4. Step 5 and step 6 is reviewing, tuning into what works. So this system works on any social media platform. And again, in my academy of training on all of the social media platforms as well. We just tend to find that the most popular ones are Facebook and Instagram. So yes, the other question is it for all the examples were B2, well, they weren't all actually, they were some was one B2B. So yeah, it absolutely works for B2B as well, because I'm B2B and I have lots of clients who are B2B, yeah, so.
Okay, and then the next set of questions are really all related to more detail on your program, including how do you plan in step 1? What are SMART goals in step 1? What's the best way to profile your customers? And I'm going to answer this for you. For $272, it's all in the program, and I'm going to sign up. So, it's like, there's your answer. Hopefully I get one of the special slots and I get some extra time with you. Do you mainly advertise on Facebook and Instagram? What about Twitter, LinkedIn, or TikTok? I think you covered that. I think you basically said that Facebook and Instagram are you found are most effective. Is that true?
Yeah, absolutely. And Facebook is still the #1 platform for delivering sales. Instagram afterwards. So Instagram is still really good, but Instagram users tend to, they're all mobile, and sometimes they tend to screenshot ads and then go back on a different device and purchase. So you always see a lift in the product sales or service sales, but some of it is more indirect. But yeah, Facebook and Instagram would be the most popular platforms that we use, but we do use LinkedIn for ads as well.
Okay.
It's more expensive. It's more expensive, but sometimes if that's where your audience is, that's where you got to go.
Yeah, I find LinkedIn to be very expensive. The next question from Jean-Pierre: what should the blend between unique industry insights versus promoting your services with buy me messaging? In other words, inspiring and educating versus talking about your products and services. What blend would you recommend in your sharing of content? And yeah, I think you're talking about organic, maybe.
It really depends on where you are. Like if you're in the middle of launching a product or service, like if you're like just in the awareness part of that, a phase of that campaign, you're going to do quite a more awareness type of content. And then let's say as you're coming, let's say towards the launch date, you're going to do more sales content. And then the closer you get to the launch date, you're going to be reminding people, you're going to be really pushing out the sales then, because that's when your launch date is. So it really depends where you are in your campaign as to like the formula of awareness content versus sales content versus consideration content versus advocate content. So yeah, so and again, it just will depend on what stage of the campaign that you're at. But I generally say, like with clients, we would sit down, we would look at their goals. Everything comes from the goal. And we look at the deadlines, or look at the key dates within the client's calendar, and then we plan content around that.
Okay. And I think also it depends, the amount of content and the ratios or the frequencies depends on the platform, right? I think you could say a lot of things and a lot of posts on Twitter. You probably don't want to do the same thing in LinkedIn because it depends on the platform.
It's so true. So true.
Yeah. Jean-Pierre asks, is Facebook more B2C while LinkedIn is more B2B? And I think your answer is that the Facebook can be B2B or B2C, that essentially it's probably one of the more affordable places to get eyeballs. Is that right?
Absolutely. So it can tend to be both. So Facebook it's a harder sell, but I mean, I'm B2B and I still get more business from Facebook than I do any other platform. Yeah.
I have to say I spend more time in Facebook than I do in LinkedIn. So I think it makes sense. Jean-Pierre asks, is that $275 a year or for your program?
Yeah, so that is per annum, but there's no contract. So you can join when you want, you can leave when you want, but we all say you won't want to. But yeah, so we send, like, we remind people when it's about to renew. We give you the opportunity to not renew. So we want people to be there because they want to be there. We're not trying to trick people into saying, yeah, exactly. So yeah, so it's per annum. Yeah.
Yeah. I think that's a small fee, even to join a community of enlightened small businesses that are all collectively growing and learning together. I think you really learn more when you join a community of like-minded people, especially led by somebody with your skill sets, Louise. As a commercial mortgage broker, which would your top 2 platforms be in your focus? And I think your answer, you've already answered it, but you want to.
Yeah, so what I would say is that for me, it's not about so much the platforms. It's like once you've spent time creating the content, you can repurpose that content. Like if it's Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, that's what I would be thinking for you. So so it's not just like, because a lot of the content I produce for Facebook and Instagram, I also repurpose on LinkedIn, and sometimes it performs better on LinkedIn. So don't worry so much about platform. Think more about content. It's more about content and then repurposing it. And it's also then about being, being really smart about how you repurpose your content. Like, can you create a blog or a podcast, or, from that content, can you use it as a motivational email that you send to and nurture your list with? And then can you also repurpose it as content on your social media? Can you, if you're writing a blog article, like with, let's say for, for your business, for the commercial, I'm getting tired now, loans and stuff. Like, can you run a poll, which is then going to, encourage people to engage with that poll, because polls work phenomenally well on LinkedIn. And then can you follow up the answers to that poll with your piece of advice? And then that piece of advice is, maybe a blog article as well on your website. Maybe it's a motivational email to your list, and it's also a post on social media. So how can you be smart about creating the one piece of content and, repurposing it everywhere?
And I think you just alluded to, it's a journey, right? It's like you want to initiate a connection, start a conversation, build a relationship, maybe have some way to add mutual value, and then rinse and repeat, and hopefully they start dragging people with them. Louise, one thing I noticed that you didn't mention was Google AdWords. Is there a reason?
Yeah, no, I just don't, I would consider them, I wouldn't categorize them as social media, I suppose. So we actually, in our agency and even in the academy, we train people on how to use Google Ads. But I just put, for me, they're in a different category to social media. So social media, your people are on social media and you have to get in front of them and get their attention. Whereas on Google, they're there and they're doing searches for specific things, and you've got to serve them, try and get in front of them, for what they're searching for. So it's just different. It just works in a different way. But yeah, no, I totally love Google Ads as well.
I've got a Nimble reseller in the UK named Stuart, who says he came to the seminar a little late. Can you help me sell Nimble in the UK? And one of John's resellers, would Facebook ads work for selling a CRM to other businesses?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, no problem at all. Yeah.
All right, Stuart, I think you've got a connection. I think we can even get you a special introduction.
Absolutely.
A question from Paul: if your primary B2B, is LinkedIn better? I think we answered that. Paul, how can you discover where your industry is? It seems to me that voiceover, especially B2B, is LinkedIn, but there's data that shows otherwise. Is that something I discover with an academy program? So let me clarify what voiceover is in case you don't know, Louise. They're actors. They just act with their voice, and they add their voice to short reels or all kinds of things, cartoons, animations, etc. And they're looking to get in front of decision makers who are deciding on productions. They could be internal marketing people at corporations. It could be film people. You have any ideas how Paul can get more voiceover business?
So again, I suppose what I'd be thinking is, like, how can Paul create how could he create, like, probably video content with his voiceover and get that in front of people regularly, get it in front of the right people? I think LinkedIn would be really good, but I think that Facebook could be as well. So yeah, look, it's about following the system. It's about setting that goal. It's about identifying who is the ideal customer, what are their pain points, what are they struggling with, what frustrates them, like when they don't have good voiceovers, what's life like for them. And then it's about sitting down, making sure that if they do go to check you out on your Facebook or your LinkedIn or your Instagram or your website or wherever it is, that they can see and understand clearly why you're different and why they should choose you. And again, you might have samples of your work. You may, you think of, like, it's not even just about your voice, it's about how people work with you. So, is it your work ethic? Is it your process? Is it how you go about things? You have to make sure that you show them that. And then it's about creating content which gets their attention. It's about then trying to reach out to them to form a connection with them. And then after that, it's about bringing them into and selling to them. So hard to answer that question, because that's like to develop a whole campaign here in my head. But hopefully that.
I think that you gave Paul some really applicable advice, and specifically, who is your audience? What's the persona? And what is their pain? and how do you solve it? And I think that, Paul, if I was you, I'd create content that showed people why voiceover works, where you use it, and how your voiceover techniques might be more effective for some of the things you're doing. In other words, give your knowledge away. I like to say, if you teach people to fish, they'll figure out yourself fishing poles. And so you should be giving your knowledge away on a daily basis so you become people's trusted advisor. So when they need your products and services, they not only pick up the phone, they call you, but they drag their friends with them.
Exactly. You know, testimonial content could be really good for you as well. So in my formula for testimonial content, it's the greatest benefit to your clients, the time frame and how they feel. So if you can get somebody who said, oh, you know, we used your services, and you know, within less than 3 weeks with exactly the voiceovers we needed. Not only that, we had converted, we would increase sales, we had whatever that is, we had got the deal, we had, you know, so you have to help people achieve their goals as well. So advocate content can be really good as well for showing other people what you can do for them.
Louise, would you mind putting up your CTA one more time, because I want to take a screenshot of it so I can have my team sign up.
There we go.
There it is. Got it. Louise, thank you so much. It was really a pleasure. I hope our audience got tons of information, and I really encourage you to go check out Louise's program, because look, I have connected with tens of thousands of marketing and sales thought leaders, and I try to curate people to bring to our Nimble community people that I think stand out. And Louise, you are a standout. So thank you.
Thank you, John. Thank you so much. It's been an absolute pleasure.
All right. So with that, we'll be sending a copy of the video to you all. And Louise, do you have any final parting words for our audience?
I suppose what I would say is that it's all about, like, better done than perfect. So don't worry about perfection. Don't let, you know, like, who decides what's right and what's wrong? Once you start once you start posting, you'll start making progress. So better done than perfect. And the last thing I'll say to you is, any room for confusion, what happens, people? They go away. So be really clear on your message and your messaging.
Thank you again, Louise. Thank you to our Nimble community. Thank you to the Nimble team for facilitating. Talk to you guys soon.
Bye-bye.